the person that gave me those stats is on this this Zoom call with us right now. It's John MacGregor. He's from Hawaii also, and we're neighbors for a while. We're generations apart, but we played for the same rugby team, the Hawaii Harlequins. And when I found out John was from the criminal side, the financial planning side, I started, guys tease each other. You can't do that today because it's not politically correct. But I'm always, and we always, John and I we always tease soccer players. We tease football players, but can't do that anymore. But anyway, I was for years I've been kept teasing John about being a financial planner. Now it's pretty arrogant on my part because I really don't need a financial plan. I have a financial plan, and I have multiple accountants and attorneys and all this who I ask for guidance on our money, and Ken McElroy on how we invest. So I don't have a 401k. I don't recommend it for the company and all this stuff, or IRAs, because I'd rather have us be entrepreneurs who create our own assets. That's a tall order, but nonetheless, that is the reason Rich Dad's around. And so years and years and years ago, and one of our illustrious partners that Kim and I had, she wanted to make sure everybody had a 401k. And I said, you obviously don't understand Rich Dad, do you? And she was an accountant, not the brightest, but she was an A student, but the A students aren't that bright when it comes to money. And she said, well, everybody has a 401k. I went, no, you don't. Kim and I don't. Oh, you have to. So ever since that's the genesis of the 25 years of Rich Dad. And so when I met John, and he's very, very acclaimed and respected, and he's taught people how to be financial planners, I thought he'd be a very important asset to the Rich Dad advisor team, because some people have to have 401ks. Some people have to have retirement plans. And so anyway, John, how many years we've been friends now in this, drinking, playing rugby, but now you're working with a Rich Dad team.
Oh gosh. I mean, I've known you for a long time, but when we really came together, it's probably been about 15 years now, Robert.
Yeah. And so John was the one who gave me the stats on what happens when people inherit money. And I asked John to write this book because we do need his perspective, the financial planner's perspective of what's going on in the economy. And it's especially true today for the baby boomers, 46 to 64 age group, because we're set to retire. And the boomers had it the easiest of all generations. When we came out of college and high school, we put money in the stock market, everything went up. We bought houses, everything went up. And now it's about to come down. So that's why John's perspective is very important. So John wrote the book. Show us your book, John, and what's in it?
It's the top 10 reasons the rich go broke. Powerful stories that'll transform your life forever.
So the reason John does that is he's over the years, he's been talking to a lot of my age group, boomers who are rich, but they suddenly go broke. So on yesterday's tweet, on the eve of Halloween, or it was Halloween 2021, I just tweeted John's facts. So what are the facts again, John?
Well, they're staggering, and they're only getting worse, Robert. And I think it's so important that you're doing this show, especially given the amount of assets that are going to transfer from one generation to the next as the baby boomers retire and get older, passing that wealth on to their kids. We also have athletes and entertainers and other people that are making a lot of money when in a very short period of time, it's gone. In fact, it's not even gone. They're broke and even bankrupt. So, we talk a lot about the professional athletes. In the NFL, 78% of NFL football players will go bankrupt within the first couple of years. 78%. Now, keep in mind, the average NFL football player has made $6 million over a 3-year time period. They don't last very long in the NFL because it's such a physical sport. So 3 years in the NFL, they've made $6 million, and within 2 years, it's gone. In the NBA, the numbers are a little bit better. Within 5 years, 60% of NBA players will be bankrupt. 60%. And they last a little bit longer in the NBA, and they make more. The average amount somebody will make in the NBA is north of $25 million. And yet it's gone within just a couple of years. It's really unbelievable. I mean, it affects the entertainment world. It affects lottery winners. Lottery winners 70% of their money's gone within a couple of years. So this is a train wreck for so many people, and it's unnecessary. So I'm glad you're doing this. So.
And then also you talked about inheritances, because dealing with guys my age, I should be retired at this moment. But what's going to happen when you talk to guys my age with money, a lot of them aren't prepared for what's coming. I mean, boomers.
First of all, you'll never retire. That's a fact. Those words just don't work with you. But in the inheritance world, I mean, I saw it on a regular basis dealing with my clients and having worked with thousands of individuals of all walks of life and demographics. The statistics that I last heard was that 77% of inherited money is gone within the first 3 years. I mean, you're giving a young person that kind of money is like giving a child a handgun. I mean, it's just dangerous, and it's going to destroy their life. You look at lottery winners and you interview them after they've won that money and they've dealt with that money for some time. Most of them will tell you they wish they had never won that money to begin with, because it's ruined their lives. It's led to suicide, depression, addiction, family problems, all kinds of, because they're not prepared. We could go back to the school system as a culprit behind this. So, I mean, that's why it's so exciting to be a part of the Rich Dad organization. So.
And then also when you talk to boomers my age, since most of them have never really had a hard time.
No.
I mean, they've had booms and busts and things like this, but not like we're in right now.
No, it's a great point. As I talk about in my book, the old paradigm of getting a job or, going to college, getting your degree, getting a job, working for 30 years, retiring with your watch and a pension, that just doesn't work anymore. And maybe some savings that you've accumulated over time. We talk about the financial world, it's the three-legged stool. It's the company pension, it's the government pension, in our case, Social Security, and then it's personal savings. It's not really a three-legged stool anymore. It's more like a high wire act with no safety net. It's just because pensions, as we've talked about many times, those are going away. Companies aren't offering them anymore. And the ones that are available are severely underfunded. And these promises that these companies or governments or school or unions or what have you that promise their people, it's in writing, it's guaranteed, they're being challenged in court and they're winning. Or I should say the people that have worked hard are losing in these court cases, and they're seeing their pension benefits cut significantly. Then you have Social Security, which is our system here in the US. It's not my guess, it's not conjecture, just mathematically that will be bankrupt in 2034. That's 11 years. And now the third leg of the stool, which is supposed to be a leg, it's personal savings. The average individual could not come up with $500 for an emergency expense. 65% could not come up with $500 for an emergency expense. So it is a train wreck coming. And that, like you said, that old paradigm, get a job, work for 30 years and retire, does not work, period. And I've just seen it time after time after time again.
So, I mean, John and I were at the Breakfast Club here in Arizona. He gets a little hot. I get a little hot thinking about it. And it is a train wreck. And you talked to Ted Siddell. Ted Siddell is a SEC attorney, Security Exchange Commission. And we wrote the book, Who Stole My Pension? Mm-hmm. And you talk to him a lot because it's right up it's your strike zone, right? These pensions that.
I mean, if I was 40, 50, even 60 years old, relying on some pension, I'm playing Russian roulette with my financial future, really. These pensions, the money that goes into these pensions, it's invested in the stock market, okay? Stock and bond and real estate market. And a lot of that money is sitting in fixed income or bonds. And bonds, as we all know, earns next to nothing. A 30-year treasury is 3%, 2.5%, last I looked. So what these pensions have to do is they have to take extraordinary risk in other parts of their portfolio, hedge funds, private equity, and all of these exotic financial instruments, in order to get that higher rate of return to make up for the shortfall of their bond portfolio. And so we're seeing a lot of tumultuous activity in these pension plans. And the bottom line is they are just not funded properly. They don't have enough money to pay out their benefits. That's why we're seeing these benefits that were promised cut legally.
And
So,
and you were talking to Ted, and you say it goes to the government, the people that manage the government employee pension plans, and they're in cahoots with the Wall Street guys.
mhm,
And so they say, so let's say I'm head of the teachers union, and then they turn that account over to, let's say, JP Morgan or something.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, you were telling me when we're sitting having breakfast, they start collecting money for future things that haven't even done yet,
yep,
something like that. What was
yeah.
that you explained to me?
Yeah, so I was talking to Ted, and he's the leading authority whistleblower in the pension system.
And
Good
Ted's
guy.
the guy, what, we wrote the book together, Who
Yeah,
Stole My Pension.
yeah,
This is a warning for you. If you have a person who was counting on a big time pension, Ted Siddell's book, Who Stole My Pension, and we wrote together. But John took it further with Ted. Okay, keep
yeah.
going.
I could not recommend, if you are reliant on a pension or know somebody who is, I would get your hands on that book as soon as possible. So Ted and I spent quite a bit of time on the phone talking about this stuff, and he goes in and takes deep dives on these pension plans, and he can see firsthand. I mean, he's a master of identifying how these things are so ill managed, and he's exposing what's going on. So, for example, he shared with me a lot of these asset managers will come in and they'll get hired by the pension, and the pension will say, okay, we're going to give you $100 million over a 10-year time span. So $10 million every year. But the money manager is charging a fee on that full $100 million, even though they're not managing that. It was just mind-boggling. Those are some of the things that are going on that a lot of people don't understand. The other problem with pensions that I saw firsthand is the pension boards. These people that are in charge of making decisions on behalf of the pensions. And these people don't know anything about investing. They may have donated a refrigerator to the local, organization or the church or what have you. Or, I did a lot of pension consulting in Hawaii, and a lot of these people don't have a clue. They're all good people, but they don't have a clue on investing. And so I would be in there to give my update on the portion of the pension that I'm managing. And so often we get together in the quarterly meetings. It's at some nice golf resort, and they look at me and they say, okay, John, it's your turn. You've got 2 minutes because we've got a tea time at 12 o'clock. They don't want to hear any of this stuff. They don't care. I mean, it's just like, it's a debacle. I mean, it's awful. So anyway.
So what are your thoughts of the market, the bond market, the stock market, bond market, and real estate market? Just your opinion. These are not facts. These are opinions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just using factual numbers to kind of base my opinion. I think today, if you wanted to make $1 million in the real estate market or stock market, start with $10 million, and you're going to have $1 million. You're going to end up with $1 million. I think, like you said, it's very frothy right now. Now, having said that, we talked about this at breakfast yesterday. You can, looking at the fundamentals in the stock market relative to interest rates, you can make a case that the S&P 500 or the overall market is somewhat undervalued, and it could be an opportunity to continue to see the rise in the stock market. However, I think we're in different times today, and there's things that we're dealing with that we have not seen. This level of debt that this country is accumulating is insane. Just the amount of debt servicing in order to pay those people back for the money that we borrowed is growing at an astronomical rate. And now we're looking at another $5.5 to $6 trillion in additional spending. I think it's just downright scary.
The bond market is a lot bigger than the stock market.
Way bigger. Yeah. Way
and
bigger.
People don't watch the bond market. And the reason the S&P, I can back John up saying, if you're going to invest in the S&P, I can back that up. Real estate, I can't back up. I love real estate. Kenny and I just bought another $30 million property, but Kenny knows what he's doing. We control the rents.
Yeah.
And these people are speculating. The trouble with real estate is it's illiquid. Mm-hmm. Once it starts to come down, you can't get out. Mm-hmm. But the S&P, you can get out faster, right?
Oh yeah, with the click of a button, you can get out immediately. That's why I like the stock market. That's kind of why I favor that. Now, there's pros and cons on both sides. But talking about the real estate market, and I've had these conversations with Kenny McElroy as well. I mean, that party's not going to last very long, especially if we see, we're already seeing inflation. And I don't think it's temporary inflation. I think this is not transitory, as they like to say. I think this is inflation that's going to be around for a long time and get worse as more spending occurs. And as inflation rises, so will interest rates, and that could just shut down the real estate market like that, and really cause a ripple effect and really harm those quote speculators that think they can buy a property and then flip it, thinking they're going to make a quick buck. I think that's darn right financial suicide.
Right. And the thing that John's saying right now is that the bond market and the real estate market, if interest rates go up in there, that drops the stock market, but you can get out quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot get out of bonds and real estate. That's fundamentally what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The liquidity is the benefit of those types of instruments. Yes.
Yeah. So when you're listening to all the people pitching you deals and all that, and we make no money, we don't sell investments. We tell people what we do in reality.
Mm-hmm.
We don't make it. So last night it got a little tense because this young Vietnamese couple wanted me to tell them to anoint them and tell them, oh, you're doing the smart thing. You just bought, 40 acres of land. They're going to put up apartment houses. And the first question I asked, how many times have you done this?
Yeah.
Oh, our first time.
Yeah.
I said, you don't want to start with, 100 units. You want to start with 2. And because you don't want to be the skipper of the Titanic right now.
Yep.
Anything else would you like to say to people about this? Again, this is Halloween 2021. I've never seen a bubble so high. I've never seen a market so manipulated. I've never seen this guy Biden. He cuts out that pipeline, which was it pipeline or
you cut out
those
for a
coming in
second.
from Canada.
Right. We lost.
What was that pipeline that comes in?
That was the XL pipeline.
Yeah. So what that happened was it made America energy dependent again. And that's why prices are going up, because Biden and his gang just made us more energy dependent upon Saudi Arabia. Then they trash us in Afghanistan. And the people that hate us there are now being armed by our own weapons. And we have ships tied up at port who can't unload, and we have nothing to export. I heard this one thing, it was bad enough the ships can't, unload, but there's nothing to take out. Mm-hmm. We're not producing. And Biden's paying people, hundreds of dollars not to work, or paying them $25 an hour not to work. It's crushing small business. We're not producing anything, and now they're going to pay $450,000 per immigrant crossing the border. I mean, John, this is your chance, because every time I talk to you about this, you kind of lose your cool.
Yeah. I use the word train wreck a lot, and I don't know if this is a train wreck on steroids. I mean, we kill our own pipeline because we were energy independent, but we kill our own pipeline. Then we allow the pipeline between Russia and Europe to go forward. And now we're struggling to find enough petroleum. And now we're begging OPEC to open up their oil supplies. Nothing makes sense right now, nothing. And I just have to keep wondering what is going on behind the scenes. You cannot screw this many things up. This is 100% batting average, 1,000% batting average on failure. Every single thing in society, in our economy, is going wrong. You have to wonder if this is intentional. You have to. So, like you just said, the supply chains, inflation, the border, you name it, Afghanistan. It's scary. And that's why I said in that caveat, you could make a case that the market's still underfunded, but we have all these other variables that are going on that we've never seen before. And so I'm just getting extremely nervous. So going back, I think the final thing that I would say is, the number one rule of investing, the number one most basic rule of investing, no matter what you're buying, is buy low and sell high, right? I mean, that's just common sense. Yet when things are going bad, no one wants to touch it. It's when the market's way up here, that's when they want to jump in. Just like real estate, the stock market. Now it's Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's way up here. Oh, I got to get in. I'm missing out on the opportunity. Instead, people need to be doing just the exact opposite. And the reason they're doing that, it's fear and greed. And when you boil those two things down, you're talking about human emotion. And human emotion, in my opinion, has been the greatest destroyer of wealth over time. And that's why people get so hung up and make so many bad decisions with their money. So anyway, I could go on, but
anyway, John, so let me plug John's book again, The Top 10
thanks.
Why the Rich Go Broke. And if you have a baby boomer parent, have them read this book, because the baby boomers are right now, they've been the luckiest generation in history. They've only known up. And I think the party is about over. And if they have a financial planner, John, they should read your book first, then talk to their financial planner, right? Something like that.
It sounds self-serving, but yeah, I would highly recommend that. I mean, the overarching theme of this book is learning from people's successes is smart, but learning from the mistakes is genius. And so I really get down to the core of why so many people make bad mistakes and why they never get off the rat race. And this is stories of the rich, but it's really about everyone, why everyone struggles and fails to get out of the rat race and off of Pain Island, as I call it. And if you do want to look for a financial advisor, I do have a free download on my website. It's the ultimate guide to selecting your financial advisor. It really help guide you in identifying that right person. So you're not caught in what I call the chicken dinner syndrome, where you get invited to that free dinner hosted by the local financial advisor. And before the presentation even starts, you're ready to hire that person right away. Because one of the most powerful stories in this book, why so many people lost money, is because they say, I trusted my advisor.
But can you,
the most dangerous words you could say.
John, thanks very much.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure.
So thank you.